Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Insurance Journal's Academy of Insurance's weekly webinar after show. I'm your host, George, and joining me for the after show today is the director of the Academy of Insurance, Mr. Patrick Wraight, and today's facilitator, instructor, I'm not sure. The class today was From Lab to Liability, Peptides and the Future of Insurance, and the de facto instructor who will tell you more about this amazing class we had is Dr. Brenda Wells. Brenda, great to see you, and can you tell us a little more about what we offer today?
Well, it's great to see you and Patrick, George. This is my advanced topics in risk and insurance class. We have 19 students, and they broke up into four groups. Is that right? And a couple of people from each group spoke, and then the other students supported them and helped with research and got them prepared and ready to speak today. I want them to hear me say how proud I am of all of you. You've worked really hard. You've done a great job, and I'm very impressed with your effort. So thank you for making my semester a lot of fun. I think this is the best webinar we've ever had. Y'all don't want to talk to me. You want to talk to the students.
Absolutely. Well, my first question is, I heard a lot about the gray market. Can anyone tell me about the gray market and how we can get peptides from the gray market or not?
I can answer. Yeah. So the gray market is basically majority of it is online and it's not FDA regulated for the majority of them. And that's where, especially too, when the social media aspect was talked about, that's where a lot of those are coming from, is online suppliers. So I think most of your common searches for peptides is probably that's where most likely to take you is the gray market. So.
Never heard of the gray market. That's really cool. Well, not really cool, but I guess really cool. I don't know. Depends on what side of the gray you're on. And why did you choose this subject? Did you have a couple different types of subject coverages that you wanted that you could choose from? And is it the timeliness of this subject that made you choose it, or?
Yeah, I'd say the time and also just the popularity around it. That's what I think a lot of us ran into articles as well as social media where a lot of things going on, as well as like on social media, there's a lot of big trends of it being very popular in like the corporate world and a lot of things like that. So I think the amount we all had seen it is what made us come to it. So, yeah.
What did you think of today's class in particular and the topic in general?
This was so timely a topic, simply because, like you all said, we're seeing this everywhere, right? And one of our participants asked about how Roe fit into this thing. If I'm remembering correctly, they were recently sued by the patent holders of semaglutide, tirzepatide, whatever, all the tides. And because they were providing these compounded items in a way that they weren't telling people about that. And if I'm remembering correctly, that suit ended up being settled quietly, and they were given permission to continue to market these things. But like you all were talking about this gray market, which I interpreted as not illegal, but not fully vetted by the government or backed by the FDA, which, we could argue whether or not that's a good thing. You could go either way, I suppose. But when it came to this topic, one of the things that also hit me was you all got into the idea of the underwriting and the risk profiling of these products. And as an underwriter by training, I thought it was very interesting thinking through, how are we going to underwrite these risks, and what kind of pharmacies will we write, or what kind of products will we write? Do you just from what you've learned in this, would you say that this is very much a product's liability issue, or some other liability issue that I'm not thinking of?
I think it's definitely the biggest can of worms on it is the product's liability, because there's so much unknown. the big ones like Ozempic and Mounjaro have been like in studies for like 10 plus years now, but you still don't know the effects like 20 years down the line. There could be so many health effects. So in terms of like the next 15 years, the biggest things that will come from it are going to be products liability.
Yeah, and I had seen a question related to percentages or rates of cancer incidence, and I don't know. I know that somebody had mentioned the possibility of that, or also the possibility that they're researching as ways to fight cancer. But what did you see related to possible cancer rates related to these drugs?
I think I'm going to pass that one to my buddy Holden here.
Yes,
on
sir.
cancer risk.
So the cancer risk associated with the peptides alone, there's just not enough clear factual evidence that says that the cancer is directly related. But I mean, it's just like anything else. I'm sure as time passes on, cancer could be proven, but as of right now, it's not. And they are using peptides to try to counteract cancer, and try to alleviate cancer, so to speak.
And I got just one more question. You guys are doing great, by the way, and thank you all again. You kept saying thank you to us. We really appreciate you and the research that you put in. And the time that you put in to create such a compelling presentation and offering a lot of these thoughts. What was the most surprising thing that you all learned? And everybody can answer.
I would just say knowing what a peptide was. I mean, I see like AI reels of like Joe Rogan talking about them, but like he said, oh, they're good for you, but just like actually knowing, like obviously where they're manufactured and distributed from like out of country in places like in Asia and probably Mexico where there's just no regulation transported over. So, and obviously just learning about the biological compounds of it. I mean, that's what I found fascinating personally.
Yeah, I think I definitely agree with Blake there. Like you think about peptides and like not all peptides are GLP-1s, but all GLP-1s are peptides. So you really think about like the massive push of Mounjaro and Wegovy and Ozempic, and you think that that's like the main peptide market, but a huge majority of it comes from like overseas and is used for like physical fitness and skincare, and that's sold on like what we talked about as a gray market or like social media and TikTok. So there's TikTok influencers that are pushing these drugs and pushing these peptides as almost kind of like steroids, and so that was really surprising to hear and like learn more about the gray market. And it's not just GLP-1s. It's like peptides are much more than just weight loss drugs.
After you taught the class, would you warn, like, do you know people that are using GLP-1s, and would you now actively warn them against it? Or
personally, like, I think they're FDA approved drugs. So obviously like you can't disagree with their safety because they go through a full safety evaluation. But I think there's many steps to like physical health that you can take along with GLP-1s that you could do in isolated form and maybe see as much results. But there's so many different health effects that people take GLP-1s to combat. So I wouldn't say that it like pushes more away from GLP-1s. I don't really have a personal opinion. I don't know if anyone else has anything to say on that.
I'm on the opposite side of that. So my parents personally use Ozempic, and I've been pushing them to lose weight the natural way, the way we've always been able to just move and eat less. That's really the thing. My thing for them is that they're going to be dependent on it. And that's the thing that scares me, because once you depend on something like that to get you to a better place to live, and say something happens to that peptide or that drug, and you no longer have access to that, I think that would create a problem in that sense. So that's my take on it.
Yeah, and I think to be clear, like when you take these weight loss drugs and GLP-1s, you take them with diet and exercise. It's not just like you take the drug. And so there could be a lot of cases out there where people are taking GLP-1s before really trying like proper diet and exercise. And that's where you kind of get like a little weary on whether or not they should be taken.
sure.
And I'd like to add to that I just want to make sure that if you are choosing to take these peptides, that you do in fact outweigh the risks. Make sure that if you're going to take it, that you know the benefits of it, but you also look into the risk section and make sure that that you're all right with some of these risks, because they do happen and they do occur. I know hair loss is being a major one. So if you do like your hair like I like mine, you might as well maybe just show a little caution.
I would say also, like,
Absolutely.
make sure you know where you're getting them from, like that they're coming from a place that was FDA approved, like a lab or something. Because I mean, again, if you're getting from the gray market, you don't fully know what you're getting, so you got to be careful with that.
Yeah, to answer the question firmly, like, do not get peptides from the gray market. Get it from a licensed pharmacy. Even if it's compounded, get it from like a licensed pharmacy that's very, very legal. And don't use like the black or gray market, however you want to refer to that.
Do your research.
Yeah.
Well put. Absolutely. I was going to ask you if anybody had any kind of reservations about doing this, but everyone's just passing the computer around like it's no big thing. It's awesome. It's so great. Would anyone ever do this again? Academy of Insurance or otherwise?
I thought it was really enjoyable to put together a presentation. We want to thank Dr. Wells too for being such a great leader and like all semester bringing on these new risks and really like helping us look at insurance and like the future of insurance from a different perspective. And so we kind of broke out and came up with a few different risks that we wanted to go over. One was gambling, one was crosswalks, and then peptides. And we ended up getting out of peptides. So I'm sure everyone's still super fascinated. I don't know if anyone has anything else to say, but I would totally do it again. I thought it was an enjoyable experience and just to learn more about a specialized risk that could be a big part of the future of underwriting.
Yeah, I'm with Ben on that. One thing that really surprised me was that obviously everyone's going to think that this is more of a healthcare issue, but when you think about how it is in transit, how it's going to affect other people down the road, you can obviously see how it's going to affect the property and casualty market. So it was just a really big surprise to me. So I think those surprises coming into things like this, when you think otherwise, was also a very good thing to get a grasp on. So I would do something like this again as well.
Dr. Brenda Wells, any final thoughts today?
Yeah, I just want to say again how proud I am of this class and all the people who spoke, because I'll tell you, when we first started, they weren't real happy with me telling them that they needed to speak with more feeling, and but they came through. They practiced, and we pulled it off. So I'm really proud of them. Like I said, I think this is the best one we've ever done. So
Wonderful.
Looking forward to next semester, but first, summer break.
Absolutely. We're very proud to usher that in and help you do that. So Dr. Wells and your students, thank you so much for everything. Patrick, thank you for coming to the after show today. This is your host, George, and the class was From Lab to Liability, Peptides and the Future of Insurance. It will be available to access later tonight. So please share the wealth and tell the world about what fun you had today. So on behalf of everybody, this is your host, George, saying thanks very much for coming today, and we'll see you next time. Have a great day, everybody. Take care.